Good evening, everyone. My name is Celeste La Cabra. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I just wanted to talk about this lovely box of goodies that I received from my friends over at Kino Lorber. They just wrapped up their March into April sale that was going on for like almost a month. I kind of waited until the 11th hour to get my finances in order, but I placed a pretty sizable order, which is easy to do with Kino because, you know, they usually price their stuff at like $10 a piece, maybe. Nothing in this box was over $10. I think that was the most expensive thing. Some of the stuff was $5, $6, $8. So yeah, shout out to Kino Lorber for being like ultra affordable. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 titles in this box. And the interesting thing about this is that only one of these was actually listed in the sale. I've also had my eye on the Wall Supplies last sale that they do, where essentially that's everything that's like last run. So when it sells out, it's gone. It's going to be out of print. License is expired, or they chose not to renew it, whatever the case may be. So I have been monitoring quite a few films from that in my wish list for some time, and they were kind of expensive for Kino Lorber prices. I mean, you know, like the $10 to $15 range. And I was willing to pay that for some of them, but thankfully I waited because about halfway into the sale, the prices on everything dropped dramatically. Like stuff that was 15 was suddenly 6, and you know, stuff that was 12 was now 8, stuff like that. So I actually had to reassess my cart and take out most of the stuff that was in the actual sale, since that stuff isn't going anywhere. And I imagine I can grab it next time, assuming they don't upgrade it to 4K, and then I won't have to double dip. And I wanted to prioritize the stuff that's leaving, and now I could get pretty much everything I wanted. I still held off on placing an order just to, you know, see what happens. And then one of the titles in my cart, The Land That Time Forgot, which is like an old dinosaur film, sold out and is now out of print. So now I gotta play the resale game on that one. But that was the motivation to go ahead and pull the trigger on the rest of this stuff. So let's go ahead and start with the one title that is actually part of the March into April sale. This one is entitled Diary of a Mad Housewife. It's directed by Frank Perry, a filmmaker that I have a lot of admiration for, particularly after I watched this one on the Criterion channel. This is such a biting and hilarious satire on patriarchy, on gender, on emotional abuse, I guess. It sounds bad to say it's a satire about emotional abuse, but it's essentially about this woman who is living with this very rich lawyer who is her husband, and they live in like an upper crust neighborhood in New York City with their 2 kids, and she's just kind of had it with the abuse that she puts up with, and starts seeing like another, I guess, more playboy archetype sort of man. That's all I'm going to say about it because I don't want to give away too much, but this film is hilarious. The performances in it are absolutely stellar. It's probably one of my all-time favorites. I really can't recommend this enough. So, Diary of a Mad Housewife. I guess I should also mention that I've only seen 2 of the films in this box. At these prices, it's so hard not to blind buy, especially when this stuff is going out of print. But that kind of makes me more excited, honestly. Like I just get to dive into like a box of cinema that is new to me, and that is going to be at least enjoyable, right? And if I don't like it, I can always sell it. So perhaps the devil on my shoulder telling me these things, but I'll save the other one that I've actually seen for last. Let's do the 2 Scorpion releasing titles. This is a Kino Lorber partner label. It's called Tower of Evil. Now, I don't know anything really about this, and I won't for the next few 12. So I'm just gonna, I guess, talk about why I decided to pick it up. A version of this has already gone out of print, and it goes for quite a bit of money, so maybe it was just fear of missing out. But I think this actually has a pretty decent Letterboxd rating, and it seems pretty depraved. Comes one of the most brutal and mysterious stories ever to be filmed. I mean, that sounds pretty fun, right? So, Tower of Evil. If you've seen any of these, let me know what you think without spoiling them. Maybe I'll prioritize the ones that you guys recommend to me. I'll watch them all eventually, but you know. So the next one is another Scorpion title. It's called Dogs. This reminds me a lot of Play Dead, a Vinegar Syndrome title that I've watched and enjoyed. I love movies about animals, honestly. Like, as long as they're not getting killed for real, like, I'm pretty easy to please when it comes to, like, dog movies. And then this is going to be the last one without the Studio Classic spine on it. It's entitled Faust. This is the Russian adaptation from 2011. The Faust story is one that I always find intriguing. I recently watched the... what was it? The country that it's from escapes me at the moment, but it's the animated one, or the half-animated one. There's a lot of puppetry in it, and some really disturbing scenes. I really enjoyed that one. This was only $5, and it's got the little sigil for the New York Times critics pick on it, so somebody likes it, right? But for $5 for a Russian Faust adaptation, I feel like you can't go wrong there. Next is The Girl Most Likely To. This is a pretty interesting premise. It appears to be about a young girl who is considered to be like an ugly duckling among her peers. And then she gets in an accident and has reconstructive surgery and becomes beautiful, and people treat her differently after that. So, I mean, this seems like another interesting satire or look into, like, gender, the way society treats women. It got the cosign from Sally Jane Black over on Letterboxd, whose reviews and opinions I, for the most part, greatly respect. If she likes something, I generally want to watch it. So I thought I'd pick this one up. Okay, next up is The Garden of Allah, starring my number one, Marlene Dietrich. I'm still in the middle of reading my Marlene Dietrich biography, and I actually just passed a section discussing the making of and the release of this film. It sounds absolutely fascinating. Like, they spent an exorbitant amount of money producing this one. And apparently it's not that great. But just as a historical document, or as a landmark moment in her career, for the price, like, yeah, I'll check out like this Technicolor historical epic, you know? It should be fun. Next is The Birthday Party. I'm looking at my runtime on my camera right now, and I see that this is going a little long. I'm gonna try to, I guess, go faster. Apparently I have a lot to say about films that I haven't even seen. This is apparently like a psychological horror that is adapted from a play. But it's directed by William Friedkin, who did The Exorcist and who did Cruising, which are two of my all-time favorite films. So I figured it was a fairly safe bet. Next is The Burning Bed, starring 1960s sex symbol Farrah Fawcett. This is apparently like a feminist sort of horror film, I guess. It's supposedly about a woman who sets her boyfriend ablaze while he's laying in bed as retribution for his abuse. I imagine that's only one scene in the film. I'm not sure what the rest of it will entail, but that premise was enough to make me scoop it up. Next we have a film called The Psychopath. I don't really know much about this, but it's from the late 60s. I think it had a pretty decent score on Letterboxd. Kino Lorber, horror film. Cheap as dirt. Throw it in, why not? Ooh. This one is a Roger Corman Edgar Allan Poe adaptation. It's called The Premature Burial. I've not read all of Poe's work. I've read all of his poems and a lot of his like bigger short stories. But that was a long time ago. To be honest with you, I don't remember if I've read this, you know, or if this is even. I know with Edgar Allan Poe, they like to just throw his name on stuff and, you know, change titles or adapt things and then switch it out for a completely different plot, like the Conqueror Worm, also known as Witchfinder General. So I don't actually know if this is a Poe story or a poem or what. I guess I'll look into that. But I love Roger Corman. I love these old Poe gothic horrors. That's like completely my jam. So yeah, I definitely wanted to scoop this one before it's gone. This might be the one I'm most excited about in terms of the blind buys. This is called The Crimson Cult. It's starring Boris Karloff and Christopher Lee, which is like, I mean, it's such a banger lineup already. Like, I don't know how you messed that up. But it's also about satanic cults. So, like, we're checking a lot of boxes in terms of things that I like. So, more gothic horror goodness that I can't wait to get into. I thought this one had a pretty fun title and poster. It's called Whoever Slew Auntie Roo. We've got a decapitated teddy bear on the cover. This was only $6, and apparently it's decent. It's about like a woman who slaughters children or something. I don't know. It sounded pretty macabre and like something that I could have fun with, even if it's not particularly great. So I threw that one in. Okay, and then the last of my blind buys for today is entitled The Grissom Gang. It's apparently a pretty intense, pretty disturbing film about a woman who was taken hostage by some kind of gang. Seemed intriguing, so we'll see about that. And then finally, to wrap up this haul with the last one I actually have seen is another Roger Corman film. It's called X, The Man with X-Ray Eyes. This is a pretty silly, but also kind of slightly disturbing science fiction B-horror film from 1963. Essentially, this doctor comes up with an invention that allows him to see, you can kind of see it on the cover, he can see through people's clothes, and he can also see through people's skin. But as with many a mad scientist horror film, things quickly go awry. It's not the best film I've ever seen. And Second Sight actually has a pretty deluxe edition of it with original cover art and a slipcase and everything. And I was kind of holding out for that one, but then I saw that this was going out of print, and I was like, you know what, for $10, like, I'll just have it, and I don't really need to worry about all the bells and whistles on the Second Sight. Since this is like a 7 out of 10 for me, it's not like amazing, but man, look at that cover art. These old horror films, just like, you can make me watch just about anything with these fucking covers, you know? It's just so good. Yeah, that's everything that I grabbed from Kino Lorber this month, or for this sale. Yeah, drop any comments you have, questions, suggestions, etc. And I'd be more than happy to read them. Please give a like on the video. It helps me out a lot. And that's all for me today. So I love you all very much, and I hope that your day ends better than it started.